Here, they've had the fewest 20-yard completions there, the lack of explosive plays. Well, Caleb's been doing his homework. He knows the Bears need something more explosive they haven't had. Chicago has just 207 pass plays that gained at least 20 yards in the last 5 seasons. The Giants, the only team with fewer.
Can I just speak real quickly? When you hear Caleb talk, when he uses the phrase, it's a constant battle, we do lose. Because he is so talented. Yeah. He's that description's so accurate because he's so physically gifted. He can do things that you just shouldn't be able to do. But in the NFL, you can do it less, and so the fact that he's aware of having to be like, it's something that I'm going to have to wrestle with. I found that to be impressive.
And they're probably telling him in some ways, like, don't do all of that, but do some of it sometimes. Correct. And I can't even imagine. All right, what have you thought so far of his development, what you've seen already?
Yeah, you see the flash. That was the end of the second quarter. I do think 2 things that stood out is, can you play faster in the red zone? They're trying to get a little bit of a fake screen to Odunze and then a seam and a rail shot. You get the perfect coverage for it. You're trying to get that drop-down defender. And I would say, Caleb, you can rip that seam. You're good enough. The pocket's clean enough to throw that seam, but you run around a little bit, hold it, and then you're so gifted again that you can make some of these, what we call funny body off-platform throws. You evade the rush, but you could have just set your feet here, and you're going to make this crosser to Gerald Everett easily, but you throw it with your feet all over the place, and it forces your miss. And the pushback is, well, he's going to do that play at times, and it's going to work, and it's going to be awesome. And then he's going to do that, and it won't. And you're going to be like, set your feet, mechanically you're bad type of stuff. And I think that's the constant battle. So definitely a little faster in the red zone, because that's the reality of the NFL. And then when the feet have to be good and when they don't have to be good.
But that's just who he is, right? You're not going to tell Mahomes what to do. And that's the kind of talent that he has.
No, that's who he is. But, Shefty, it's when it's needed. It wasn't needed there. That's the thing fair. That I think those guys, that's the constant battle in my eyes.
It's like, sitting on a pot of gold, but you can't spend all of it all the time, and you might have the desire to. I don't know. All right.
Okay, listen. Shefty, interrupted and interjected himself and said, "You're not going to tell what Mahomes to do." It's like, okay, calm down. Let's just relax here. This is what Orlovsky is trying to say, okay? There is a time and a place for everything, okay? What made Mahomes even get to that next level is not those amazing off-script, rolling around, off-body throws. It's just not. He absolutely can do those things. But what has been making Mahomes special is not the behind the back. Yes, that's what gets the highlights. That's what a lot of the non-athletes love and lose their mind over. But what really has made Mahomes special is that he is consistently a fundamentally sound quarterback at this point in his career. Okay, the way how he beat the Ravens, the way how he beat the Dolphins, the way how he beat the 49ers was just playing perfect, fundamental football. Perfect. It wasn't all these one-legged throws, falling back, launching the ball up 100 yards down the field. That's not what it was. He has that to his game. He uses that throughout the season, throughout the playoffs, undeniably. But it is not his go-to anymore. It is not his default. And that is a big reason, because I've been banging on this drum from the very beginning. That's a big reason because of Andy Reid and Mahomes' relationship. That's what Andy Reid has helped Mahomes understand, is that this is the way we win. It's not always those plays. And that is what Caleb Williams is trying to do now. And Caleb Williams understands it. And he accepts it. And he's learning from it. And he knows it. So that's awesome. So it's funny that Shefty is trying to be like, no, Caleb Williams even knows it. So it just does it. It's just dumb. So yes, he is going to need to learn when to do those things versus not. Now it is tough, because the thing is that also what makes him special, obviously, is doing some of those things, and means he's going to do them more often, more frequently than a quarterback who can't do those things, of course, at the level of him. And so it's hard. It's like a Steph Curry, honestly. I think this will probably be the better example. It's like Steph Curry. Steph Curry shooting those deep, deep threes is not always the right play. It's just not. technically in the Olympics when he shot double teamed over those two guys, that was probably not the right shot. It was unbelievable and amazing. And I'm so happy he did it. But you had KD wide open. And you had LeBron wide open. And no matter how great great Steph Curry is, and he's one of my favorite players of all time, you have a better shot for KD. A wide open KD shot right at the three, versus Steph Curry double teamed, falling back deep. That's a lower percentage shot. So it's technically not the right shot. But since he can do it, it closes that gap of making it not just fundamentally an awful wrong shot. But it's also not 100% the right shot. And that's where Caleb and Mahomes, for that matter, fall into. That sometimes you want to do the correct 100% fundamental, play, move, mechanics, whatever. But when you are someone like a Caleb, you can get away with doing it slightly less. But again, you can't do it all the time. If Steph Curry was constantly shooting that shot with two people in front of him like that, with a wide open KD, I don't care who you are. That's no longer the appropriate play. It's just not. So again, Steph had to figure out, when do I shoot that shot and when do I make that pass back to a wide open KD? It's a balance, and sometimes you get it right and sometimes you get it wrong. And that is what Caleb will work on. That is what Patrick Mahomes has worked on, right? Is figuring out when you do what you do and when you kind of, I don't even want to say hold back, but you rely more on the fundamentals, right? More on what I just always call football 101. And when Caleb can lock that down, because that's also the difference too, is that Patrick Mahomes has now made the foundation to his game football 101, right? Textbook football. And now as that is your foundation, it gives it a lot more runway and leeway to be able to now do some of these other things. Caleb needs to establish that first. You can't establish your game as the foundation of doing some of those things. There's a great quote that I really love with regards to, I don't remember the exact quote, so I'm going to butcher it. But it's a very famous comedic actor who I also can't think of his name right now. I see his face, but I can't think of his name right now. He was in like Hot Tub Time Machine and stuff, the bald guy. And he talked about how he learned, from UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade, for improv and sketch comedy. Very, very famous sketch comedy theater, which a lot of comedians and actors come out of. And he said, they taught me all of the rules, so I knew when and how to break them. And I love that, because I think that matters in almost like, we can apply that in almost like any aspect of our life. We need to know the rules to our core so we truly deeply understand. And when we have that foundation, we are now comfortable breaking them and going beyond them when need be. And that is what Caleb Williams' journey is. And I think he can do it. I think he will do it. But this is where, you got to just understand, like, I honestly, like, I cringe at Adam Schefter's comment there. I'm like, you're going to tell him not to do it? And it's like, yes. That you think Andy Reid just tells Mahomes, just do whatever you want, young fella, just do whatever you want. You're amazing. I bow down to you. No, that's not at all what happens. So Caleb Williams needs that in his face, in his ear. And I think he'll have it. So it's just, people get like so excited and they start to like lose their mind. And that's not how you play winning football. It's not how you succeed at anything in life. In fact, that's how you become a teenage pop star, and 9 out of 10 times their lives end up in ruins. Okay? That's what happens. So, yeah, I just had such an aversive reaction to his reaction to his comment. But Orlovsky is 100% making sense on this. And I love that Caleb Williams clearly has the right head on his shoulders, right? He clearly understands as well. And that's definitely the luxury of having a Patrick Mahomes come before him, because he could learn from that. He learned from that. Andy Reid really and Patrick Mahomes have kind of set out the blueprint for what can make Caleb successful. And if Caleb Williams plays his cards right, because Mahomes and Andy Reid kind of came before him, he has the potential to then surpass Mahomes right? Because it's like some of the harder things that Mahomes maybe had to figure out from scratch with Andy Reid. Caleb doesn't have to do that, right? It's why these athletes and these players and these teams and these games, they just keep getting better and better and better because of the people that came before them. If Michael Jordan played in 1955, he would not be as great as he is now, right? You're always standing on the shoulders of the people that came before you. Caleb Williams has that opportunity. We've just never really seen it so close to each other. Usually, typically in sports, like we saw with a LeBron and MJ. I know Chicago fans definitely probably don't like LeBron very much, but usually that's a farther gap. Usually a Caleb Williams comes around, when Patrick Mahomes is on his way out, right? In another 10 years or so, or maybe even longer, 15, 20 years. So the fact that Caleb is now here today, it's going to be really, really interesting to see how fast he can accelerate. Does he continue to learn from even certain things that Mahomes and Reid do in real time? What does he do himself? Does he kind of surpass Mahomes? Will Mahomes start to kind of take lessons from Caleb? Man, I can't wait. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? What do you think Caleb needs to learn more than anything this season? And do you agree that just because he can do something, a lot of times he shouldn't do something? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.